Hello everybody, this is Will Adamer. Today I'm going to be doing a commentary on a wolf fight. Um, since we released our first videos, we've been getting some comments from people saying that they would like to see some more casual or accessible stuff, because so far most of our videos have been with rather expensive ships, and we've also been using alts, like link alts for example. So people would like to see something that everybody can relate to, because obviously everybody does not have access to this kind of stuff. So we're going to try and make some videos that are a bit more accessible to the average EVE player as well. So in this fight I'm taking an assault frigate into nullsec completely solo. The fight happens in KPP, which is an entry system into Providence, and I've jumped in from highsec. And there was nothing on that gate, but I find out there's a small gang camping the B-W gate. It's not in scan range from the highsec gate, so I had walked to a nearby celestial and then scanned the gate to see if there was any bubbles or anything there, because especially in entry systems like this, it's quite common to see a drag bubble on the gates that aren't the highsec gate, and of course then they're often camped. So if you're outside of scan distance to such gates, it's always a good idea to either walk to a ping spot if you have one on the gate, or just to a nearby celestial to scan the gate and see if there's any bubbles there, or if there's a gang or whatever. So yeah. Anyway, that's what I did in this case, and I saw that they didn't have any drag bubbles or anything, but there was indeed a small gang. They have a Harbinger, a Drake, a Celestis, a Harpy, and a Stiletto. I've also noticed that there's quite a few more of them in local, so they might have some reinforcements if I fight them. But I'm in a wolf, so this is obviously not something I can just beat in a straight up brawl. But against almost all gangs in this game, I think there's always a possibility of fighting them one way or another. Well, when you're in a frigate in nullsec, I think most of your fights are going to be either against other solo frigates or solo cruisers or whatever. But if you really want to, you can almost always get a fight against gangs too, because you can try to separate and kill their tackle, and that's what I'm going to attempt in this video. That's actually, I think, the main theme of this video. How you can deal with separating and killing tackle of a gang. And there's several ways of doing this. One way could be to separate by aggression. That would be if I walk to this gate now and everybody but the Harpy, for example, aggressed me, then I would jump through and maybe the Harpy would follow me, and the others wouldn't be able to because of their aggression timers. So then I would have 60 seconds to kill the Harpy on the other side of the gate before his friends would be able to jump in and help him. Another way of separating tacklers could be to do off-grid separation. That would be walk to celestials and try to make their tacklers follow you. But I think Gammon actually is releasing a video today that deals with that particular way of type of separation. So what I'm going to do in this case is that I'm going to do on-grid separation. That is, I'm going to use my mobility and my positioning to make their tacklers burn after me and get separated from the rest of their gang, and then I'm going to kill them. So my plan is to warp in at range and then just start moving around and see if their tacklers, that'll be the Harpy and the Stiletto in this case, go for me. Okay, so I've warped in at 100 kilometers from the gate, and it turns out that the Harbinger and the Harpy is sitting 50 kilometers off the gate, and so I'm 50 kilometers off them, and I kind of need to get more range between me and the Harbinger, and then hope for the Harpy to burn after me. So the first thing I do is start burning a bit away. It seems that the Harpy isn't really keen on engaging, so at this point I decide to burn a bit closer, but I don't want to commit though. because the harpy won't really leave the harbinger. So if I commit now, I'll most likely die because the harbinger will be way too close. By going a bit closer, however, I keep them interested, and it also gives me some intel because first of all, the harpy disrupts me, so that tells me that this harpy doesn't have a scrambler, which is very good to know if I want to try and kill him later, because I know I can engage this harpy and then just most likely start to MWD away from him if it isn't going my way. I can also see that it is a neutron blaster harpy fit because of the damage notifications, as you can see, and that's also very useful to know, because then I know that it's probably not a harpy with a lot of tank, because I just know from experience and from theory crafting fits that it's hard to fit a medium shield extender to a harpy when it's also a neutron blaster fit. I noticed there's a stiletto that starts burning for me, and it looks like he's going straight at me, so I'm thinking it's probably a scrambler stiletto. I know I'll have to commit to killing him because I have no chance of outrunning it, but I'm still kind of too close to the harbinger to really fight for long, at least if it's a tanky stiletto. So I overload my micro-warp drive and head straight away from the harbinger to get as much range as possible before the stiletto gets on top of me. The stiletto goes down and I start burning away again. As you can see, the harbinger actually managed to get into damage range. It's a heavy pulse harbinger, so he does very good DPS past 30 kilometers. So if he had been a bit closer when I engaged the stiletto, then I might have been in trouble. With the stiletto down, I once again turn my attention towards the harpy, which still doesn't seem very keen on going after me. So I try to reposition myself again. This time I burn a bit back towards the gate. Maybe he's more keen to burn in that direction, but it doesn't seem so, so I just keep burning around the harbinger until I might get in a good position to go for the harpy. I managed to get into a position where I can go for the harpy that's about 40 kilometers off the harbinger. I know that's probably not enough to give me time enough to kill him, but I decide to go for it anyway because I know I can probably run away, since I already know that the harpy only has a warp disruptor and not a scrambler. As I expected, the harbinger gets into damage range way too soon, and it's much more that I can handle, so I overload my micro-warp drive and start to burn away. At the same time, I notice there's another stiletto that starts burning after me, and this is also a much better target, so I try to get into a position to kill him. Notice how I'm being very careful with my armor wrapper. I know at this point that my capacitor is much more important for me than to have a big armor buffer, so I keep deactivating after one cycle to make sure that my MWD can keep running. Once again, I need to put some range in between myself and the harbinger and also the harpy now, because it's the stiletto I want to catch by himself. I managed to catch the stiletto in a pretty good spot of the rest of the gang. However, I made a small mistake here in that I got a little too far away from the gate, because now the guys on the gate are actually almost in warp range of the stiletto. Luckily they don't warp to him. When you do this kind of on-grid separation, you ideally want to be catching stuff about 100 to 120 kilometers off the rest of that gang, because that's close enough that they can't warp, but also far enough that they'll have to burn for a long time before getting to you. So in this case I was actually kind of too far, and it'll actually have some consequences, as you will see. In the meantime, there's a rifter that's about to get on top of me as well. I can see that it's a disruptor rifter, and those also usually don't have much tank. So as the stiletto goes down, I decide to go straight for the rifter, even though I know that there's a risk of the rest of the gang warping to the wreck of the stiletto or something. I just know that the rifter is probably going to die very fast. And as you can see, the rifter actually did die very fast, but at the same time a rapier had warped to the stiletto wreck, and he managed to tackle me just as the Rifter dies. So if I had been aligned, then I might have actually been able to warp off as the Rifter died. But yeah, that was definitely a mistake. So I lose my wolf, but I kill 2 stilettos and a Rifter in the process, so I definitely think it was worth it. If there's one thing I should have done differently in this fight, I think that I shouldn't have went for that Rifter in the end. I should have probably burned away before that and see if anybody warped to the wreck of the stiletto, and then pull some ranged from that wreck and try to get in a better position to fight that Rifter, because he didn't have a scram, so he couldn't stop me from burning away. So I should have just gotten into a better position to do that. But other than that, I think it was a pretty good example of how you can, even against pretty large gangs, separate and kill the tackle with a wolf, for example. This is only one ship that's pretty good for this kind of thing. Actually, I think there are other ships that are even better, because the wolf is actually kind of slow because it's an assault frigate. A lot of people use interceptors to do this kind of things. The Tyrannis, for example, or Dramiel, or Slicer, and so on. Anyway, it just has to be a frigate with very high speed, and preferably a lot of DPS, because you don't have a lot of time usually to kill your target. You need to have much DPS so you can kill it as quickly as possible.